Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this very short video, I'm going to show you how to create two thumbnail drawings, concept drawings that are required before you begin your block printing using a vinyl block. I'm going to take a vinyl block like this. This is going to be the block that you're going to cut into, and I'm going to trace it, and I'm going to place it down on my piece of paper and trace around it one time and trace it around it twice. You notice that the paper is folded down the middle. This is just cheap old concept paper folded down the middle so that you can very easily place the rectangle within its space and the margins are somewhat even, okay? You notice the T here represents the top of the image, and this corresponding T on the block will be the top front of the image. So when I trace, I need to turn this face down. There's a drawing on the back, don't worry about it. Turn this face down, trace, face down, trace, and now you're ready to start drawing. This first drawing, I'm going to use a skull. And I've drawn several now, and I kind of have my own style. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a very cartoon style. This skull is required. You have to have at least one skull, one drawing of one skull, and that's for one of these small thumbnails. You notice how lightly I draw, and then of course, later on, I'm going to draw more heavily. Here I go with my heavier lines because I'm kind of certain what I want. I'm still going to be slow and thoughtful and make changes as I go. I'm not sure this is my favorite drawing ever, but let's see how it turns out. Whoa, looks like some of his teeth are a bit sharp. Those would be like cuspids. Let's go ahead and put in the zygomatic bone here up top. That's part of your lower jaw. Let's move this nasal septum up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the eye sockets established. I kind of like this big pupil right there. I'm going to put a star inside that one. When you cut, you've got to be cutting using a special lino cutter. And a lino cutter only gives you somewhat thicker lines. There's the zygomatic bone there. Let's put one in over here. Muscles run under that. There's the bottom of the jaw there. That doesn't seem like quite enough, although the skull is there. I have these other areas to worry about. I might go ahead and put a crack in his skull. I might use some contour lines, lines that conform to the outside edge, or lines that move across the inside of a surface to give you a sense of how it moves in space. The orbits of the eye, these holes right here, I'm going to hollow those out, just indicate with some hatching, maybe even cross-hatching that I can cut, how the shadow falls in and out of there. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of contouring there. Let me go ahead and make this cut official. Let's go ahead and bust that open. Little hatching, dark as that inside edge. Looks like he met an early demise there. And because I don't want to waste this space, I'm just going to go ahead and do some flame-like shapes here, crawling up the edge of the paper here. That's a nice line there to pull the viewer's attention up into this area, where you just might have one or two small details. In addition to the flames, I might indicate a few little sparks flying up, and that would be one of my two concept drawings. One of yours also has to be a skull. Now, here's another one that I did. It's very similar, but not the same. And here's another sheet of paper I did. Similar, not the same, where one of my two drawings is a skull. The other one, it doesn't have to be Halloween, but the other one, any theme you wish to go with. You like undersea water animals, do that. You like ocean animals, you like birds, you like nature, you like architecture. Whatever you want to do here is fine. Now that I've done that, I need to transfer this image to here. So quickly, I'm going to wash this with soap and water. That's real important. Here we go. Over to the sink, soap and water scrub, and then just a single towel to dry. You might want to bring that towel back with you. Now remember, there's a top to the vinyl, and it corresponds with this top right here. So what I'm going to do is turn this face downwards like I did before, match it to my edges where I traced before, turn it back over again, And now I am going to use a special tool. Uh-oh, Mr. Nixon's workspace is a little crowded. That's causing an issue. Remember how I tell you to give yourself plenty of space. Let's try that one again without making a mistake, okay? Notice how I pin the paper down. It's slightly damp underneath. You can see it there. And with this brayer, I'm going to press hard from the center out. From the center out, from the center out. My fingers are kind of in the center, and I'm pressing outwards. I'm pinching down or pressing down with my fingers carefully so the paper does not move. Now, the moisture in the surface of the block, plus this additional pressure, plus the very dark mark that I made with my ebony pencil should be allowing those lines to transfer to the vinyl block. Let's see, I'm going to go one more time there. Without moving the paper, it's not transferring as well as I'd like. Let's try that again with a little more pressure. Even though the transfer may be light, I think pulling the paper away, I am pressing a little bit harder now. You saw I had to carefully check the surface to see if my process was working. Well, it wasn't. So I'm modifying my process. I'm pressing with greater pressure, and that transfer is not bad. Now, putting this one next to that one, I see that there may be some lines I need to go back and adjust. You notice they're mirror images of each other. In fact, I had transferred this once before, which might explain why the initial transfer did not go so well, only because I had done it once before. I'm going to go ahead and make modifications. In fact, I've already done this modification process before. See it right here? So this is yet the same drawing transferred earlier, and comparing these two or these two, you can see I made changes in red pen, like I added a zygomatic bone there. I brought the orbit of the eye in over here. I added more skull area there. I may have been a little more careful as I drew out the teeth. So I did some changing between these two. And of course, if you want to improve, what do? You continually analyze and decide what to do to make things better, okay? Now, this is the vinyl block ready to cut, but that's going to come later on. What you do first of all is take your block, lay it down, trace 2 drawings on a piece of concept paper. Be sure to indicate on the block the top, or maybe the top here, so that when you do turn it face down later, you'll know exactly how to align with your lines to the outside. Don't forget to trace the outside of the block, and you're going to compose within these 2 rectangles here. One of them has to be a skull, the other one, free choice, up to you. Now, you try.